It's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed it myself, but one of the most common things that I hear people looking for is contentment. It's the actual word that they choose, especially, I would say, successful business owners who have that constant pressure of having to perform every single day, and family, and all the other things that are expected of them. So they've gone beyond the stage of being able to give themselves much freedom in the way they do things. They tend to be very disciplined, and very much showing up every day. And I think that that extends into the weekend. So it's almost like the weekend's an extension of the week, only at the weekend, it's family, in the week it's work. But there's this sense of constantly being on and constantly being driven by goals that they've set for the future. And it creates a lack of contentment because there's so much focus on where you're going. And of course, with a family, that doesn't work anyway, most of the time. Families work best when you're really present. They work best when you let go of all of that and you're just you're present. Everyone can feel the relaxation of that. But of course, so much of family life is actually so busy that there's not much time, or people don't find much time to be present. They think it's more important to get everything done than to have some quality time. And it's not that you can't get everything done, but how can you bring that quality of contentment and presence into what needs to be done? And at times, how can you let go of what doesn't actually need to be done? But a lot of the pressure of this kind of life comes from the pressure of work and making sure that everything is done on time because of the goals, which are very time specific and can't be let go of. There are too many people depending on them. So how do you deal with that kind of pressure every single day? I think that's quite a big question. And it's easy to give an answer, but actually you have to find the answer within yourself. But the thing that I'm very sure of is that if you don't find the answer to that, it doesn't matter what you achieve or what you will achieve. It doesn't matter about your quarterly targets. It doesn't matter about all the things that you have set up to be important. Because if you don't find the way to do it, to be content as you go along, you will end up feeling empty, pointless, however much you achieve, however amazing it is what you do. Even if it's a deeply purpose-driven business, if you're always driving towards some goal, and you haven't found the art of being content with where you are, you will end up feeling empty, and that there's somehow something missing, that even though you've done so much and even though you've achieved all your goals, if you have, it just doesn't mean to you what you thought it was going to mean. So it's really important for us to actually explore and find that sense of contentment as we go along. And some of that means letting go of the emotional involvement in the goals. So there are things that you need to achieve along the way. There are things that you want to do, that you have chosen to do. To me, a true goal is a choice. It's something I've chosen. It's something I want to experience. It's something I am showing up to create in my life. To me, it's not so much something that is driven by external factors. It's something that I'm showing up for myself. But if you're so emotionally involved with that if you don't make it, for example, you feel a sense of failure, or if you do make it, you feel this kind of definition of yourself that makes you a success, then you're always vulnerable, because you make it this time, another time you don't make it. And then what are you? You're a failure again. And then you're very, very vulnerable to something that is not always entirely in your control. And the thing is that life is much richer and much more interesting than the targets you may need to reach in order to create something that you've chosen to create. And if you narrow it down so that all your energy is geared towards creating those targets, you're missing the richness of life. And you might think, well, what I'm doing demands so much of me that I have to put all my energy into reaching those targets, achieving those goals. That's the only way that I can do it. Then it's really a time to ask questions about your life. Life is much richer than that. Life also can do much more of it than you can do. So when you make it all about you and what you need to do, what you need to control in order to achieve what it is that you want to achieve, again, you're missing out on the richness of life. So much of that can be helped, can be easier, can be less demanding of you, but only if, as they say, you get out of your own way. So most very business people, very busy business people, are very much in their own way. They are trying to control everything, including things they can't control. Their feelings go up and down with what's going on. My sister went to rugby school, which is the school where apparently the game of rugby was invented. And the whole school, the mood of the whole school depended on the first team, the rugby team's performance each Saturday. Literally. And we know this, we know how people's moods go up and down with their football team. My ex-partner, he supported a football team, which he'd supported since he was 7 years old, that had been doing badly for, 10 years or something. And they were, all of them, just constantly living in this hope that it would turn around at some point. But their mood was literally affected by their football team. And it's easy to laugh at that or recognize that. Maybe you're the same. But if you look at your own life, you'll see that your mood and your feelings also go up and down with the success of something that means something to you. So if it's your business, when things are going really well, it's like, wow, I'm doing really well and everything feels good. And when it's in your terms going badly, your mood goes down, you feel pressure, you feel worry. But if you really reflect on it, if you reflect on what we're learning here and what we're exploring here, when things are apparently going badly, what we found is that that's always good. And it's part of the improvement. And when things are going well, what we found is that's something to appreciate, but it's also just a stage. And things may appear to go badly again in the next wave down, but that's preparation for the next wave up. And what we found is that things are constantly evolving. So why would you let your mood go up and down with the apparent current moment of your business when it's simply not relevant? It's simply not where it's at. Why would you let your mood go up and down with the current status of your relationship? If you really understand those waves, if you really understand how life is working, you wouldn't do that. But, this is a really important but, It does not work to control yourself into feeling content or to control yourself into being positive about a situation that doesn't feel good to you. That just covers over what doesn't feel good. That's like sticking all the banana skins under the sofa and pretending that they don't smell. They do, actually, and everybody can smell them, including you. And so don't pretend. Contentment, real contentment, comes from awareness. It comes from genuinely being aware that when things don't look good in your life, they are on their way to getting better. Genuinely being aware of that, not knowing a lot of the time how that's going to look, because we don't know. When our relationship's going badly, for example, do we really know what the outcome will be? No, we don't. When our business is going badly, do we really know what the outcome will be? No. Sometimes you even lose a business and it feels like a terrible thing, really terrible. It's a really hard experience. And later when you look back on it, you see how valuable that experience was. So it's not always easy to see in the moment. We don't always know exactly what the outcome will be. What I can say is that it is always evolving. And when we try to hold on too tightly to a specific outcome, that's when we start to create the conditions for being discontented. By all means, go for what you want to create. Go for what you want to experience. Absolutely. Apply all the principles of creativity that we've been exploring. But remember that the journey on the way to that has so many features to it that you have no idea about. It's so easy to judge your life by what's happening at the moment. But in fact, you can choose what you think about what's happening so freely. And so if you're aware that when it doesn't look good, it's on the way to being good, it's much easier to be contented. And if you're aware that whatever the situation is, right now, in this moment, you have so much. If you're actually aware of that. Now, very often, when people hear things like this, they say, oh, okay, so I'll just be aware of I have so much. And then they ignore the very discontented feelings underneath, or the fear, or the worry. So what I'm talking about is not something that you can use to paper over the cracks or to cover over the banana skins under the sofa. It doesn't work like that. This has to be really sincere. It has to be really genuine. And you build it through experience of healing situations, through experience of actually dealing with things so that you discover how to solve problems. Like it is absolutely possible to be content in any situation. In this moment, if you let go of the past and you let go of the future and you appreciate what you have, which is a lot, whatever's going on, absolutely you can be content with that. But it's much easier to find a more stable contentment if you also have the ability to solve problems. And to me, that's very important. This is not just about a kind of spiritual escape where you can change your feelings about everything, but situations don't change. That's quite a common thing, that people kind of train themselves to be positive about everything, or they train themselves to be able to be the light or be in the light or something like that. But life ends up feeling really stuck, and that light ends up generally not feeling nearly as light as it promised that it would. So to have real contentment, that deeper contentment, we need to be very alive. We need to be very engaged. We do actually need to solve problems. It's not just saying this isn't a problem unless you genuinely know that it isn't a problem. If it is a problem, admit it and learn how to solve it. Learn how to get to a position where you genuinely know that when you're arguing a lot with your partner or something like that, that is a releasing and healing process to make your relationship stronger. If you don't know that, if you don't feel that inside, go and learn how to do it. Don't pretend to yourself. The same with business. If business is feeling very rocky or unstable at the moment, if you know that that's releasing some old patterns on the way to it getting stronger, you know, absolutely know that from experience and from your inner confidence, that's great. If you don't know it, learn how to solve the problem. Okay? So we need to grow our competence, our ability, as well as our inner state. If we want to really find that genuine contentment that is lasting and doesn't feel like it's covering over something that's really quite unpleasant. So in a way, contentment in the moment is very simple. It's about being present. It's about accepting wherever you are. And there is absolutely no doubt that being content in the moment will help you to create a situation that is also content. So contentment is actually part of healing the things that you feel discontented with. It all sounds very contradictory and confusing. Genuine contentment creates an energy of contentment, and so it creates a reality that makes you feel contented. So in one way, contentment is part of healing what you're not contented with, but it must be real. This is the point. It must be real. It can't be fake. Fake contentment denies your real thoughts, your real feelings, and denies you the opportunity of dealing with what's going on. And then it leads to dissatisfaction in the end. So it may take practice to find inner contentment, but it is really important to be honest with yourself about how you're feeling and how you're perceiving your life, so that you can experience genuine contentment, really sincere. And in a way, you can do that in a moment, but stringing lots of moments together takes practice, it takes experience. In any moment, it's not difficult, but there are many stories that can crowd into our minds about what's going on. And so when we learn how to solve problems at the same time, and then contentment becomes part of the solution, then there's a purpose. There's a purpose to being contented. There's a purpose to practicing being contented. And you're not just using it to cover over something, to hide from something. It becomes the healing of the problem.